So now we are recording this, right? And I'll post that. So if you miss a day, like if you miss a Tuesday, that would be not good because we only meet on Tuesdays. But if you did miss a Tuesday, I'll hopefully record it, put it up, and you'll see what we talked about. You'll get a little more information that way. Okay. On Thursday, the lecture will come to you in Blackboard, right? Because this is a hybrid class where Tuesdays we meet in person, and I have chosen Thursdays as our day that I'm going to put stuff up. It won't be due on Thursday, whatever I put up. So you'll have Thursday, probably Friday to watch the lecture and get things done, maybe even until Monday the next week, right? So I don't put huge time constraints on stuff. That can be bad for students because then you just put it off, right? Until the last second, and then your internet doesn't work and then you can't get it done. That's bad. So I wouldn't put things off, but that's how it's going to flow. That makes sense? Questions on that? All right. So then you go into a class. Since there's folks that have never seen Blackboard or used it, I'll walk through. This is 120. So I'm going to click on that. And that takes us into the class. I'm going to put it into student view. That was instructor view. And this is what you're going to see when you come in. It's very blah. Like, I'm not doing it like social media. I'm just doing the content, okay? It's never pretty, I'm sure. It's going to be organized week by week. So week 2 will pop up when we go into week 2. Week 1 is here. That's a folder, these little symbols. And oh, I should back up. I do plop stuff on here now and then, just like job opportunities. Like if, anything that is sent to me from the college or from industry that I think you might be interested in, I just plop it on the homepage. You can look at it, you can not look at it. This is probably from last time I taught the class. So it's just an idea of what you're going to see, probably more towards the end of your educational degree rather than in the front. But sometimes companies are looking for part-timers, that students that want to work while they're going to school, do some SolidWorks for us or some AutoCAD or who knows what, some data entry, right? Anything that comes to me that I think would be interesting to you, I just put on the homepage. So you'll just see stuff pop in and out of there all the time. All right, week 1, here's Tuesday. Thursday will show up as we get closer to Thursday, right? Or usually what that means is when I get my stuff done, Thursday will show up, right? So I don't work a whole lot ahead. So here's Tuesday, that's today. That's the date, 9/26. I usually put a little something in there that tells you what's in there. And so now we're actually into Tuesday today, and there's some stuff in here, okay?
That book.
So that's the book. It's a really good resource. And I know there's a lot of good resources in the world. But, the internet's a phenomenal resource. But if you're looking for books that the instructor, Troy, thinks you should keep, this is one of them. And it's for a number of reasons. You're going to end up in a lot of different industries, go to work different places, and all of a sudden there's going to be some unique symbology for that industry. This book will have that information in it. So it might just save you one trip down the hall asking somebody what the hell's going on. That doesn't look good usually as a new hire. You don't want to do that. So if you have a book that you could actually go look something up and figure it out yourself, that's a little better than having to ask, what's this mean? They'll be like, didn't you go to school? Anyway, it's got a lot of great information about graphics in it. And most of us are going to be working with graphics when we get out, either creating them or reading them. And the reading them is the hard part. Creating them is pretty easy. We're going to get good at that. And we're going to create them our way, right? But when we're given a drawing from somebody else, that was created their way with their company symbology, with their weld symbols, or with their geometric dimensioning and tolerancing symbols that you maybe have never seen before. And it's nice if you have a resource to go look for something, okay? That's why the book. We'll work out of it. I probably won't make you read too much out of it, but there's just a lot of really good graphic information in it. So there you go. All right. Questions on that? Anything we do for the first couple of weeks, I'll scan and put on Blackboard. So you don't have to have the book. if somebody's got the book like me, you can always grab it and take a picture this first couple weeks, right? There's another book there. So if you need to take a picture of something, just do it. All right. I already feel like I'm talking a lot. Let's look at the syllabus. I think I already downloaded. Those things don't open these days because there's like a pop-up blocker. All right. You should, now this is my first year student talk. I know some of you are not first year students, but you should read the syllabus in every class you have. So it's like the rules and regulations of the class. Most instructors don't, I don't read it word for word to you. You can read, right? So in every class, you should at least look at things like attendance policy. I have a number of stories I can tell of students who didn't look at that. And there was a policy for it, like you had to attend class. That instructor takes like notes on who comes and who doesn't, and then there's grading associated with attendance. If you don't know that and you're just skipping classes now then because it's an easy darn class, and in the end you get a C because you didn't attend the class, that's your fault, not their fault, right? So there's information in syllabuses, you should read it. You should at least find out things like attendance and how you're going to be graded. Those are the big two things in every syllabus. You know, sometimes you get information like when exams are going to be, whether they're open book or open notes or closed book, closed note, all that kind of stuff's in the syllabus, right? All right, so let's go and find my stuff here. Here's some stuff about homeworks. So no late work unless.
Oh, 1 second.
Yeah.
Phone number 70 what?
I don't know.
7 right there. 7681.
Yep. And remember, this is on Blackboard.
Yep.
Right? You can get it anytime once you get to Blackboard. Yes.
Isn't it a 4th grade class?
I don't know. Is that a typo? Okay. I'm gonna check that.
Okay.
So they change credits all the time at this place. I don't think I'm always in tune with that. So, all right, extra credit. That's good. Anything else you see? The time's right. The room's right. That's good. The term's right. All right. If you're going to be late with something, just communicate with me before it's due, right? Just let me know what's going on. It's all good. There will be a midterm. That'll be to be scheduled. It's not in Blackboard yet, but we can look at Blackboard. There will be a final that is in Blackboard, so you know when that is. Then there's all these student expectations, then there's the book, and then there's grading. And you can see by the grading rubric, there's no attendance on there. It's labs and homework, 50% of your grade is the stuff you're going to do in class, in lab. Then there's a midterm and a final. Both of them, you get notes for, right? You get what's called a crib sheet. So you can write down anything you want on that crib sheet for the midterm. All right. Some required supplies here. We'll talk about the engineering equipment list, but you need a calculator and you need it with you. So really, as engineering students, we really don't require a lot of stuff. Like I can almost put it all on, you know, the overhead right now, and then just add one of these, a computer, right? That's it. That's our equipment. Like if you go into automotive, their equipment is going to line up that wall, right? And cost tens of thousands of dollars. Ours is not inexpensive. Like a good calculator is not cheap and a good computer is not cheap. But that's it. Like pencil, paper, maybe some other little equipment like straight edges, scales, right? But that's it. Really, our primary tools are brain in the engineering side of the world. We use some support equipment, calculators, softwares, you know, desktop or a laptop kind of thing. But that's it.
there anything special about your calculator as compared to any standard?
Mine's the coolest calculator ever. Other than that, well, let's do calculator talk. Because usually this is first year students, so the calculator you should get is the calculator you know how to run. Also, if you're in math classes, they are TI. So everything in your math class is going to be TI. When they demonstrate how the calculator works, it's going to be TI, Texas Instruments. Okay. So really, I would not recommend fighting that fight early on. Get through your math classes, use the calculator that they use. That's really important. I'm an HP guy. So when I went to school, I used an HP. That's probably why I continue to use an HP all the way through. HP has what's called reverse Polish notation. So it's a little different than a TI. A TI works with creating equations with brackets, right? For those of you with TIs understand what a bracket is and like the chaos of brackets in a TI. I never have to put a bracket in because I work through a formula differently with an HP. So it's just different. Not a good idea to borrow my calculator if you forget yours because you won't be like, what the heck? But if I had like an equation, just to give you an example, I'll take 4 cubed plus 42, and then I'll take all that times 2. Right? So I think with a TI, you would try and put that in kind of as you see it, correct?
Right.
Like the 4 and then a power thing and then some brackets and then plus the 42 and then, you try and build it all. Well, with an HP, you just work through, you do have to know how to do that calculation, the order of operation of it, but you just work through it without doing any of that. So with the HP in reverse Polish notation, I would take the 4 and enter it. So we enter numbers in an HP. And this is just as an example, just showing you what the difference is, right? Because maybe you know TI, but you don't know this thing. And then what do I want to do to that 4? I want to raise it to the power of 3, right? And there's a button for that. It's this XY button. Right. So I hit the XY button. Uh-oh. Oh, it doesn't like that at all. That's the whole talking and working at the same time. All right. 4, enter. I got to put the 3 in. Sorry. So 4, enter it. That stores it. Now I put the 3 in. That's the power. And then I do the function to it like that. So that does the 4 to the 3rd power. Right? So now I have that number. What do I want to do to that number? I want to add 42, don't I?
Yeah.
Yep. So I do the 42 and enter it. Right? And then I hit the add button. I'm just going to add those together. And then what do I want to do to it?
Times 2. Yeah.
So just 2 times. So you work through it. You work through the equation. Pros and cons to it. I don't have the equation anymore in my calculator. Or a TI, you would have that equation in the calculator, right?
Mine does sort of the same thing. So
some of the new TIs you can put into reverse Polish. You can go back and forth. Like this, I can put into the other kind of notation. Anyway, so I use an HP. You should use whatever calculator you know how to run. But you're going to need one in here because I don't want you doing anything in your head. Nothing. Not 8 plus 7. Not in your head. You 15. Think it's 15. Well, what if it's a bad day and you have a bad math day and it's 14 or something?
It's 15.
You should be thinking. We should be estimating what that solution is. I think it's 15 also, but I wouldn't put it in the calculation unless I ran it in my calculator, just to check. So what can happen is you'll get a number like 31 and you need to divide by 2 and you'll go, oh, I think I know that
15.5.
Yeah, so most of us can do that, but if it's wrong and you use that in future calculations, that's a problem. It's a big problem. So just use your calculator. Also, use your brain. That's your verification that, yeah, should be 15 something. You put it in your calculator and it's coming up with 17. You should be like, what? I put something in wrong, right? All right.
It's right.
Good. We've done the syllabus. We've done a little with Blackboard. We're going back to Blackboard. All right, so this is how this all looks. And again, I plop stuff into Blackboard all the time. Here's the book. Somebody asked me about AutoCAD this morning and what laptop or desktop they should be running. So I put that information in here. And it says AutoCAD information requested by students, optional for this class. So stuff pops into Blackboard. Just got to read it, see what's going on. Cam Scanner, this is my favorite app in the world. I wish I had stock in it because I try to make my students get it. It's really good. Because you're going to have to submit things through Blackboard in this class, like a drawing. How are you going to do that? You know, well,
I've always
an
wanted-
easy way to do it is Cam Scanner. It's super easy. So it's this. Oh, you can't see that. This is the app. This is what it looks like. It has a little CS with a green thing. It's free. There's Cam Scanner Pro that they'll try and make you buy. Don't do that. Just use Cam Scanner cheapo, right? And what it does is you just use your camera. You take a picture of something. Oh, this is kind of weird. We can see lots. Take a picture of it. It's processing the picture. So there it is. It cleans it up. Super nice. Yeah, it really makes it nice. And then you can turn it into a PDF or an image or whatever you want. And then you can share it or save it or send it or email it or whatever. It's super easy to create PDFs from whatever you just did and submit it in Blackboard. Are there other little apps that do that? Probably. I'm just so in tune with Cam Scanner that I would never use anything else. So find something because you're going to have to submit today's exercise in Blackboard, right? You've got to submit it. So you have to first do it by hand and then somehow get it into PDF form and submit it. I'm okay with PDF or image. Either one of those is fine, like a JPEG, right? Or a PDF. But I guess no, what would we call it? No iPhone specific images, because I don't have an iPhone or something. Now and then students send me links, then I can't get into the links because I don't have permission or something. So yeah, just make sure it's available to me when I go to look for it. Questions on Cam Scanner? I use it all the time, like in my other life all the time and in this life all the time.
I'm probably gonna need that for my writing.
Huh?
I'm probably gonna need that for my art and my writing.
Yeah, if you got to submit stuff online, it's big. Anyway, Cam Scanner info is right here. Day one, that's just what we're talking about today. I think I already have that up too. That's this thing. So we'll talk about, I guess we can go for this. We can head for the equipment here soon too. So let's talk about weather. I didn't do this yesterday in my class. This is fall term and it's going to go into like December, right? So we will get some inclement weather. I live 50 minutes away. It's kind of south of Oregon City. So my drive is through Estacada. I do the back roads, or sometimes I do 205, but it's a long drive. And we get some weather out there that's different than here, and this place gets different weather from where I live, right? So I am not interested, since we do have Blackboard and we can go online like that. If we get bad weather coming, I'll pull the plug on coming in. It's not worth it. It's not worth it for you. I've been doing this 31 years and I have lost a student in a car accident, and it still gets me this day that the college actually was open for some crazy reason. Unfortunately, that student came from Hood River and just had, that's a horrible drive all winter long. But it's just not worth it. We can go online. We can do everything we need to do. The thing is, you got to check your email on those days because that's where you're going to get the info. I'll put it in Blackboard. So I guess if you check Blackboard before you left, you would get it. But I send it to your email because most of us have email on our phone. Now, if you're like my children, you never check your damn email. So it might not work for you. You might show up. The college could be open, but Troy's not here. And I will send that note at 5 a.m. So I'm pretty sure that's before you leave your house. So, and I'll try to remind you because I'm kind of a weather buff anyway. So like, it's going to be 90 today, right? It's going to rain tomorrow. Like, I know what's going to happen in the next few days. So normally I can send you an email early. Hey, look at Friday or look at Tuesday. It's not looking good. Chance I might pull the plug on it. I'm not driving in crap weather because I don't want you to drive in crap weather. Good? All right. As we get towards bad weather, I'll remind you of that. Talk about calculator. There is some equipment in this class. So this is what we're going to do. Y'all can see that, right? Yeah. So we're going to do like 2 weeks in graphics. That can go to 3 weeks. Everything's subject to change depending on how much fun we're having. But a big part of this class is graphics. And that's not AutoCAD and SolidWorks, but that's actually what you're supposed to produce in AutoCAD and SolidWorks. So I could teach you AutoCAD. I have an AutoCAD class this term. I can teach you SolidWorks, but in those classes, I don't want to teach you how to draw correctly. I just want to teach you the software. This is the class where I'm going to teach you how to draw correctly according to engineering standards. We have standards for everything. And that's because we did it by hand forever.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And doing it by hand, you got to have standards because everybody's doing it by hand. So we all have to do it the same. So when I hand you a drawing, you go, oh, I recognize this. And when you hand me a drawing, I go, oh, I get it. I mean, there's things I don't know and I might have to learn about, but the overall format of it, I get it. I fully understand, right? That's what we need, is when you make a drawing and hand it to somebody else, they go, ah, I get it. There's a section view, there's a partial view, there's a revolved view, there's the normal front view, side view, top view. There's some dimensioning, I get that because it's done correctly. There's some geometric dimensioning and tolerancing. I get that. I didn't take much of that, but I kind of get what it is, right? And then there's some surface finishes, right? There's some special holes that look weird, like counterbores, and you get things, right? Well, this is the class where you're going to learn that stuff. This is not the class where you're going to learn AutoCAD and SolidWorks. That one's a different class, right? But when you go into that class, you'll be able to produce a drawing that other students that haven't had this can't do. It's like, what? How do you know to do that? Well, because you learned it, right? Anyway, there are standards to everything. Your first lab is a perfect example of it. There's standards, engineering national standards on how to make a K, how to print a K. That's how like detailed the engineering standards are. Do I care how you make a K? No. I really care that you make a nice K, kind of good, right? But not that you actually follow the strokes of the standard. But that's what's been developed over 150 years of these engineering standards, right? So we'll go through the standards as we do things. I'll say, hey, this is a standard. This is how you need to do it. So then when you hand it to somebody else, it'll get done right. So graphics is a couple weeks, and then we come back to graphics for another couple weeks. So it's almost half of the class. It's 4 weeks and maybe more. Okay. Pencil and paper. That's what we're going to do, is like old school graphics. You should embrace it. It might be really like not fun for you, but I think you should embrace it. It's kind of like yoga, just sitting there with a drawing, right? Trying to figure something out. It's good for you. All right. Then we'll do a week of Excel, maybe a little more because I do formulas in Excel. That's the point. Engineers would not do anything else other than formulas in Excel. Like, so I don't do the things that other people might use for Excel, like data entry or just whatever. I'm going to make it all engineering flavored. Like we're going to do a week of Word. Am I going to make you write a paper? No, because we don't really do that kind of stuff. Am I going to make you create equations in Word? Yep, because Word creates equations and displays them, right? So Word displays equations, Excel runs equations, right? So it's good to be able to do both. We'll do a week of mathematics, and then we'll do some design loop stuff, engineering problem solving sequence. We'll do a little additive manufacturing. That's 3D printing. That's those 2 machines there. So I just kind of like spray some engineering problem solving at you. That's what this class is. It's pretty fun. And then last thing, it says equipment, because we like to do a walkthrough of our little equipment lab that's getting a little bigger because we're getting the lab next door. And there's some equipment in there that if you've kind of been checked off on it, you can use it. So there's a drill press over there, milling machine, a little baby milling machine. There's a little baby lathe over there. So we'll try to walk through some of that. Good? Questions? Yes.
Is there an injection mold in there?
There's an injection mold in there.
That I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Got to make the dies.
Yeah, I work for a place called E6, too. Oh, D6, actually.
Yeah.
D6 and the E6.
Okay, let's do the equipment list. For this class, there is a little bit of equipment. Was it going to open? It is. And I have some old pricing. So you can, I don't know, neglect that. Pencil, you're going to need pencil. We do everything in pencil, right? Any pencil works. You don't have to have a drafting pencil. There are things called drafting pencils. I don't even know if I have one anymore. I saw one somewhere. Yeah, this is a drafting pencil. Holds big lead, like giant lead, right? So you can stick out as much lead as you want, and then you have a a sharpener. This is old drafting school stuff, not required. You just need a pencil that you can get fairly sharp. These are my favorite because they have the spin out eraser. That's super cool, right? Not that little dinky eraser in the end. I do a lot of erasing, so make some mistakes. You got to do some erasing. Any pencil is good. A mechanical pencil is fine. They're not expensive anymore. They're cheap. One or two of them is good. Some kind of eraser, whether it's on your pencil or it's I don't see any of those either. You can get block erasers. If you have to erase a lot, you probably don't want to do that because on the drawing, that's pretty nasty. I mean, you can never get it fully erased. So drafting paper, don't worry about it. Engineering comp paper is what you need to get at some point. Okay, we're going to use printer paper for our drawings, so I'll supply that. Right? Some triangles are nice. We're going to do some graphics where you're going to have to do some straight edge work. So these size triangles are probably the handiest. You don't need the monster triangles. But notice that I have this one. What's that one? What are the angles on that one?
Let's get 90.
It's a 90 there for sure. All triangles, right triangles have 90s. What are these two?
The 45.
Yeah, it looks like a 45, and it is. It's a 45. And then this one?
That's it.
This is a 30, 60, 90. Yep.
30, 60, 90.
So if you get them both, again, optional. If you get them both, you can put them together and make any 15-degree angle by origami. And if you don't believe that, the book shows you how to put them all together to get all 15. But yeah, you can, right? And then this is, again, it's optional. But if you really want to go for some manual drawing, back here we have T-squares, right? And you can just come back and grab them. You can pack them home if you want and bring them back. But they will go down on these tables. If we put some space between each table, we just drag them apart a little bit. And now you have a horizontal surface that you can slide and make any horizontal line off of this, right? Everyone just kind of understand that? You need to put your paper down in line with this. So then this is any horizontal line on your paper. And then this laid down would make any vertical line on your paper. That's pretty handy if you're actually making a manual drawing, right? Without this, you just have to eyeball. Well, that's kind of horizontal. That's kind of vertical.
I already learned how to do that.
And then you got to measure off of your first line to get all other horizontal lines in two spots and then draw across, right? So it's just much more complicated. You do have to have a table with a pretty straight side to it. Not all tables at home are going to be that way. But these work great. And I think they even fit one here on this end, one here. They don't collide. Somebody told me that. I don't believe that. I'm just curious. Well, I never believed students.
That looks 50%.
No. 50. Oh, I think it's gliding. Pretty close.
Only a millimeter.
Yeah, it did. Anyway, we could saw them things off a little bit. Anyway, so there's squares if you want to use them. Triangles are handy. This is the one I use the most. Right, because it's my homework, right? Or anything I'm doing on my engineering comp paper is just a really good size. Down on there. So, all right. What else is on the list? Circle template, totally optional. This is my favorite little guy. I use it all the time. There's thousands of these out there. Don't buy 150 of them, right? If you want one, just look for one that is reasonably sized. There's all kinds out there. From back in the day when we did manual drawing, you could buy a template for everything. A circle template, circles are hard to make by hand, right? I'm okay with you making them by hand without a circle template. I'll even give you some techniques to do that. But you can borrow mine anytime you want. It's always just laying up here. And or you can get one.
Or compass.
Protractor. So protractor or compass. Compasses. These are pain. I mean, you can get these little cheap ones. I really feel like I can make them by hand better, but these do work. You know, you can spin a circle with one of these. So yeah, but these are also nice for measuring angles on your drawing. A little half circle, right? So if it's 15 degrees, 15, 30, 45, 90, any of that, I can build with this. But if it's like 52 degrees, can't really, I can't get that with this. So that's where I got to use this. Kind of give myself an A. It's manual drawing. It is as precise as the width of your pencil lead, which is not very precise. And it's going to be scaled down or scaled up. So it's not super accurate. You would never measure a manual drawing. You would never take your scale and measure a manual drawing. You only read the dimensions off the drawing. Whatever the dimension says, that's what's real. Okay? So manual drawing is not very accurate. That's why we never measure it. We always just read the dimensions. That's the problem is when a dimension gets left off and then some yahoo throws a scale down and measures it and says that's real. That's not real. So we don't want to leave any dimensions on. Anyway, this is handy. Engineering comp paper we talked about. A calculator we talked about. A racing shield, that's this thing. It's pretty handy. We're not really going to do that much drawing to where you have to get it, but you can lay it down and like surgically remove graphite, right? It is pretty handy. Don't make a mistake and then you don't have to surgically remove anything. T-square, that's that thing. So borrow it anytime you want. Questions on the equipment? Most of it, like, you probably have a straight edge. You probably don't have a scale. I didn't put scale on the list. That's these. And we use these a lot. And I didn't put it on the list because, yeah, this scale. Because I got a bunch of them in that box. And you can use them anytime you want. Okay? So I went ahead and just bought a bunch for this class. I think you should have one and just be packing it because use them all the time to lay things out and to check things on drawings. Not to make it real, but just to check things. Has anyone seen these before? Some of you have seen these before? Yeah. So there's lots of different kinds. And even in there, there's different kinds. So be careful when you grab it. Make sure you're getting the one you want. This is a engineer scale. See where it says that? Engineer scale. What makes it an engineer scale? Anybody know?
Low, precisely, point whatever on there.
You're getting close. We need a little more detail than that.
Decimal?
Yeah, it's decimals. That's perfect. So an inch is broke up into 9 spaces, right? Actually 10. But here's an inch from here to here. You'll see that. And zoom in. Yeah, and so there's these 10 spaces. So here's 0.5. correct? Everyone with me? This is 4.0, and this is 5.0. And then this would be what?
0.1.
0.1. Oh, 4.1.
4.1, yep. And then this would be what?
4.6.
Yep. And then what if I tried to like measure in between? What would that be?
4.55.
Yeah. So it's broke up into tenths, hundredths, and thousands. But you can't really read thousands, and you can't really read hundredths very well. Maybe right in the middle, I'd probably risk it, right? But really, you can't read that much. So this is called the 10 scale. And that means there's 10 increments per inch. That's why we call it the 10 scale. It's also called full scale. It's the real inch, right? It's the real. If I put the other scale down next to it, it also measures an inch exactly the same. Agreed?
Yep.
Yeah, so the top scale is different though. It doesn't have 10. How many does it have?
It's been fractal.
It has 16. It's in fractions. So that's an architectural scale. This is an architectural scale. This is an engineering scale. We use them both. But the most common scale out there that the public knows is this architectural fraction thing. 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch, right? Even some think they can read a 32nd of an inch. That's kind of risky. Architectural scale, engineering scale. We'll use them both. All right. They reduce. So if I go and say, oh, well, what's the 20 scale? Here, I'll put it on 1 inch. Put them both on 1 inch. It's gonna, my OCD is kicking in. Sorry. Yeah. So the 20 scale, how many increments per inch?
And
Hmm?
oh,
20.
20. Yeah, 20. See them all? There's 10, 20, and that's in the 1 inch of the architectural scale. So it reduces for you. So if we know that we want to reduce the drawing in half, I would use a 20 scale. And I can just read it directly. I don't have to do any math, right? If I want to measure 1 inch on the 20 scale, I just lay it down and I measure 1 inch from there to there. Right? Read the scale directly and it's giving me half size. Does that make sense? Super handy. Like, hey, I don't have to do any math, no calculator, I just do it. What do you think the 30 scale does?
30.
Yeah, 30 increments. It's right here, 30 increments per inch, and it reduces not a half, but a third. Third bigger, right? It's getting smaller now. This will go all the way up to 60 scale. Try and read that one. Yeah, so that's right here. There's 60 increments between there and there. Yep, 60 scale. Crazy. So that's from there to there looks to be 5, 6 inches. Right? Yeah, good luck reading that. I can't do it.
I can, but
The width of my pencil lead is wider than those little marks. So, but it does reduce 6 times. This will not enlarge something for us. Like if we're going to draw a microprocessor, holy cow, we got to enlarge that so big to draw it, right? This won't do it. This only reduces scales. They're in there. There are some engineering, there are some architectural, and there are some metric in there. So be careful when you grab one that you know what you're using if you're going to grab one out, right? You want to get your own, and then you know what you have. There's a lot of different ones out there, so be careful. There are combination scales. Makes me nuts that they actually make that because I would lay the wrong thing down. But combo scales have both architectural and engineering on the same damn scale.
Why would they use
Like, why would you do that to some human?
Huh.
Like this
that's what I meant.
this is just creating opportunity to screw it up, right? So don't get a combo. Are they coming in here? They're not coming in here. Hey, what? What are you doing? We have this until 12:20.
On the open house?
Oh, this is a class. I just stuck the sign up. Are you guys interested in engineering?
We're machinists, so why not?
Well, you should be interested in engineering.
Yeah, yeah, work with us.
Yeah, okay. This is actually a class.
No, we can leave.
No, I know, I don't want you to
Not
go
out
there. You can stay too. But if you're interested, I'm done 12 points.
Yeah, we just thought it was cool, we're just like, watch what you guys do.
I think it's cool what you guys do. So what, are you first year machine?
Second year.
Second year. And I'm already hired for going. Absolutely, that's the way that rolls. I think you ought to match it with engineering degree. Yeah. You'd be priceless. I'm serious.
Are we just learning about the syllabus right now? Or?
Yeah, we're just first day stuff. Yeah, you guys can stay if you want, whatever.
Oh,
We're talking about scales. I can't do any of my manufacturing jokes though, so.
I'm sure you'll find one.
I'm sure I'll come up with something, right? All right, so get them.
Pick it up.
If you want your own, borrow mine. If you borrow them, just put them back so other people can use them too. All right, questions? Good so far? All right. That's my phone. I think that's all the equipment you're gonna need. So we've done it all, calculator, equipment, we've done Blackboard. Any questions on Blackboard? Because that's a big part of this class. Nope. All right, let's talk about your lab for today. So online, I'll head off into orthographic projection. I'll start talking about drawing layout and kind of how we're going to do that with the different projections. But today, you're going to actually practice your lettering, believe it or not. So from here on out, engineers block letter. We don't write in cursive. So I'm going to ask you to try to block letter for me, okay? My block lettering gets kind of sloppy if I don't slow down, right? But what's important is we want to know the difference between 7s and 1s. This is what's important and why we do this. We end up doing a lot of stuff on this paper at work. We'll work things out in our office, and then we'll go to a software with it, right? We might go to SolidWorks with it. We might go to Excel with it. We might go to MathCAD. We might go to all different kinds of software. But we must be able to read our own writing. We cannot transpose the 7 and 1. So I keep using 7, 1, and 9 because that's an early mistake I made when I would make my 1s. They were pretty good, but sometimes I hook it. See that? I just did a little hook there. If I go fast, and then my 7s get kind of weird, and then my 9s get really weird. If I go fast, my own calculations, right? What I did was I transposed a 9 and a 7. Like, this is a second week, brand new engineering job, straight out of college. And what I did, I'll tell you the story. The job they gave me was to go in the back. So I worked for a heavy equipment company. Actually a contractor, but they owned their own equipment, right? Backhoes, dozers, scrapers, that's the equipment that we did design work on, right? Well, I'm new. I'm 21, like just fresh out of, I know nothing. Got my 4-year degree, know nothing. That's kind of how that works, by the way. So he said, we have this big pile of dirt in the yard. We had a yard out back where we tested the equipment, and we need to get rid of it. So you need to go calculate how much dirt's out there. And then we'll get the dump trucks coming from Vancouver. I was in Portland. Dump trucks are going to come from Vancouver across 205 bridge, yada, 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 right? We have a big backhoe. They're going to load the thing. We're going to get this dirt out of here. So my job was to calculate this volume of dirt. Well, I transposed the 7 and the 9 in my calculation. So I thought I had X amount of dirt, and I really had X amount of dirt. I thought I had a lot more dirt than I had from my calculation.
Whoa.
So he said, well, how many trucks we're going to need? I said, well, you got to roll 15 trucks. Yeah.
How much it
So they get all 15 trucks rolling at once, kind of spacing them out because we can load them pretty quick. They're coming from Vancouver, and we were out of dirt by truck 7.
Oh, wow. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Double.
And, you know, back in the day, there wasn't a lot of communication with these dump trucks. So he's like,
Wow.
You need to go stand out there in the driveway and tell each truck.
We wanted to go
Yep.
back.
That was terrible.
Wow.
I was like, super embarrassing.
Probably
Yeah.
cost you about 30.
And it was this. I mean, I went back and said, what the beep did I do? You know, went back through my calculations. I transposed a 9 and a 7. It was a 7. And I read it as a 9. Anyway,
Wow.
it's
And it
important.
doubled
Like,
the amount of trucks you had.
and I had all the software possible, but why would I wouldn't use that. I would just sit down with pencil and paper and figure it out, right? So it's important. I'm not going to make you, I mean, I don't need to tell stories, but I'm not going to make you do what I had to do, which was like 2 weeks of lettering in college because it was pre-software. You just got to do it one time. But I'm going to hand it out to you, and then I'm going to explain it to you because everyone does it wrong. Not everyone, but there's a high percentage that does it wrong because it's not really obvious. When you get your drawings done and you hand them to the machinist, they gotta be able to read it. Oh. And if they can't read it, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna come find you. So what's this number? Everybody get one? Did I leave anything on there? Who did I miss? There should be 2.
I thought you were supposed to pass me.
I'm walking around. Did you get 2? Yeah, you should get 2. One straight letters and one circular one. Yeah? You see the difference now?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's got 2? All right. Let's just look at the straight line one. And then you'll understand after I go through it. All of our lettering needs guidelines. So this is a little faded over time. You can't really see the guidelines. They're not really there. Okay. So you're gonna have to make your own guidelines. Like, see where these little arrows are down here? Everyone see that? So I'm gonna take my straight edge. I'm just approximating horizontal. That's good enough. Make a super light line and then make another super light line. And that's the guidelines for this lettering. Lift, little, flat, lathe, valve, fit. All goes down here. Get it? Like lift, L, I, F. I gotta go slow. T, lift. And then I would put little, and then I'd put flat, lathe. Good? Okay, the row above is a little different because we like to complicate things as engineers. Isn't that true, machinists?
Always.
Yep, see? This one, the lettering goes to the right. And you can do more than one if you want. I don't know what that is. Looks like it got erased. Get it? This one goes down below. Give yourself guidelines. Every piece of lettering needs to have a guideline. The big ones are really hard. No straight edges. Notice I'm not using a straight edge. Okay? Get it? Each one's a little different. Like this one's down below, this one's down below, this one's to the right. And then it does repeat. You will get a finger cramp if you do this all in one setting.
Can I trade you a pen for a pencil?
There's some pencils right here, yep.
Thank you.
Questions? Put your name in it. It says lettered by. That's where you're going to put your name. Don't worry about file number. And then there's 2 of them. They're the circular ones also. If you're having a hard time with a letter, like you just can't get one to look right, then you could actually look at the strokes for the letter. It does show you those. The E, the F, like the E is supposed to be 1 down, and then from the bottom, and then the top, and then the middle. Crazy that there's a standard for that. Yeah. No, you don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to. Questions? You guys got the end of the show. You got to come for the beginning of the show next time.
Not by once in a while.
You should. All right, we are now officially in lab. I will stop the recording.